Welcome everyone back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. My name is Hunter. In this evening update, we're going to be walking you through the weather pattern through the first half of February as some major winter storms will be moving through the United States, bringing heavy snow, but also heavy rain and potentially some severe weather as well. Yeah, winter is not over. So if you do want to subscribe to the channel and you want to stay up to date on the latest detailed accurate weather forecasts, this is the channel to subscribe to. Like the video, give it a thumbs up down below, and share this video with friends, family, and on social media. I definitely appreciate it. So let's get in talking to the temperatures as we go into tomorrow morning on Friday, January 31st. Here are our low temperatures across the western United States. Obviously in the higher elevations, that's where our colder temps will be. Generally speaking, to the north in those lower elevations into the teens and 20s. To the south, we're more in the 30s and 40s. Now going into Friday afternoon, notice we warm our temperatures up. That 50-degree line goes all the way up there into Montana, Wyoming, and even the Dakotas. So a mild start here to our weekend across portions of the western United States. How about the central U.S.? Yeah, we're starting off pretty mild into the 40s across the lower Midwest, 20s and 30s further to the north. But tomorrow afternoon, our temperatures are going to take a run again into the 40s and 50s all the way up here into places like Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, even some 60s cannot be ruled out in isolated areas into the Nebraska panhandle, western portions of South Dakota as well. Let's look at the eastern U.S. tomorrow morning. You can see temperatures coldest up there in Maine in the single digits, wind chills likely below zero, but you notice to the south and west, the warm up is underway across the Ohio Valley, even waking up to 60 there in places like Middle Tennessee. And looking at the afternoon, those areas will remain near 60 in Middle Tennessee. But look at the 70s going all the way up into southern and southeastern Virginia, the Carolinas, Georgia, maybe even a couple 80s down here toward Jacksonville as we go through the day on Friday. And these temperatures are going to be continuing as we go through the weekend, and these could be near record-breaking highs as well, not only for what we saw today, but also as we go into tomorrow on Friday, some near records or even record-breaking highs across parts of the Ohio Valley into the mid-Atlantic. And then as we go into the weekend, another plume of some mild Pacific air will be moving from west to east across the lower 48, and that could bring us some warmer near record high temperatures across the heartland as we go in towards Saturday across the plains. And then on Sunday, that'll stretch out more from the plains and in toward the Ohio Valley and the Great Lakes. Now let's look at the potential for severe weather. The Storm Prediction Center has updated their latest products, and they still do highlight a dark green and yellow shaded color. That's a level 1 out of 5 marginal risk in the dark green, level 2 out of 5 slight risk in the yellow. And this covers areas in the deep south, so from Memphis all the way to Lake Charles and Houston, up here to Shreveport, Jackson, and even over here into New Orleans, seeing a threat for some severe weather through the evening. Main mode of severe weather will be damaging 60-mile-per-hour winds, so we could be seeing that. The hail threat is less than 5%, maybe some quarter-size hail, but the hail threat is pretty low. The tornado threat is there, and the dark green, that's where we have a 2% chance of a tornado within a 25-mile point of Memphis, Shreveport, Houston, Lake Charles, New Orleans, and even up there toward Tupelo, Mississippi. And then looking at the dark brown shaded color, that's a 5% chance of a tornado within a 25-mile point of Jackson, Mississippi, southeastern Arkansas, Monroe, Louisiana, Alexandria, and even back there into Lake Charles as we go through tonight. Let's look at that as we go through the evening hours. We got that squall line that'll continue to bring some strong winds, potentially some hail and tornadoes as we go through the evening hours. As we go toward midnight, notice that squall line is going to be entering into northwestern Alabama, Middle Tennessee, and up into Kentucky. This is more of a heavy rainfall setup as we go through later tonight. And then as we go to daybreak there on Friday, a lot of these storms will be training over the same area. So heavy rainfall will definitely be a concern. So the severe weather threat will hand off more to a heavy rainfall flash flooding setup as we go into the overnight hours. And then as we go through the day on Friday, those storms will march east with the potential for some more severe weather there from Mobile into the areas of Panama City, Tallahassee, and southwestern Georgia there as well, with the potential as well for tornadoes, a 2% chance of tornadoes there in the dark green as we go through the day on Friday. Overall, this is going to be a moisture-laden system. This is going to bring some pretty heavy rainfall to the Ohio River Valley, in particular here, the bluegrass state of Kentucky over here into West Virginia, as well as Virginia. We could be seeing an additional 1 to 3 inches worth of rain here, and this could give us some flash flooding concerns. Now, there is a secondary area of flash flood concerning here, talk about in just a moment, but the main area from northeast Texas, Texarkana through Little Rock, up here towards Memphis and into areas in toward Louisville, we have that slight risk for flash flooding. Then a secondary area from southeast Iowa, northern Missouri into northwest Illinois, around the Davenport Quad Cities back there toward Ottumwa, Iowa, where we do have that slight risk for flash flooding there with a deformation rain band. Yes, it should be snow this time of year, but it's too warm. So we have a rain band that's going to be moving through. And then as we go into the day on Friday, that lingers over toward Cook County there in Chicago, right along and south of the I-88 and I-80 corridor, and then more of the Appalachians there in West Virginia as well. Higher terrain leading to a lot of runoff with the heavy rainfall in West Virginia. Yes, with the lack of cold air, not going to have much snow out there. The only snow in town is really across the Pacific Northwest. That's the Cascades. Could be seeing several inches of snow on the order of 6 to 12 inches, maybe a little bit higher than that in the highest terrain there in western portions of Washington state, but that is in higher elevations. Let's look at our temperature anomalies going in through the first week of February. February 1st is on Saturday this weekend, going through the following Saturday, February 8th. And notice the colder air going to be bottled up to the north, mainly in southwestern Canada and the Pacific Northwest. It's not too far away, but we also have mild air here in the oranges and reds underneath across portions of the southern and eastern United States. What this means is it's going to set up a battleground between the temperature gradients, colder to the north, warmer to the south. And that's where the storm track will be ending up. And we have an atmospheric river set up here in northern and central California that will be transferring eastward into Nevada, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Utah, Colorado, and then eastward from there toward the Great Lakes with a lot of moisture as we go through the first week of February. Let's look here at the depiction of what the radar could look like as we go through the first few days of February. Notice very heavy rains here in northern California. Higher elevation snows will really be piling up there in feet through the weekend. This is on Saturday going into Sunday, and then just a fire hose of moisture as we go into Monday the 3rd, Tuesday the 4th, Wednesday the 5th, and finally we see some moisture continuing to come in, but it's starting to get a little bit more intermittent as we go into Thursday the 6th. Finally, Friday the 7th, we start to clear out. A lot of high pressure working in. We're going to need some dry time in California after all this precipitation. There will be significant rainfall here in Northern California on the order of double-digit rainfall. We could be seeing 10 to as locally as much as 20 inches worth of rainfall here. Some of those rainfall bands will be setting up into southeastern Oregon, getting into Idaho, Montana, Wyoming as well. And really a lot of that could be in snow, and in the higher elevations, we could be seeing literally 80 inches of snow in parts of the northern Sierras here and into the Rockies and central portions of Idaho and into Wyoming there and Montana. So a lot of snow for the ski resorts out west, that is for sure. What about downstream to the central and eastern U.S.? So as we go into the first day or so of February, pretty quiet, maybe a couple snow systems that could bring a couple inches of snow here and there for the upper Midwest or the Great Lakes, maybe just enough to shovel there. But then as we go into that Monday time frame, we're kind of just seeing some weak energy moving across the central and eastern U.S., mainly to the north. We're not seeing much to the south there until we get to about Wednesday the 5th. Then we see a couple of weaker systems coming through, maybe an overrunning setup. This is the European model, showing maybe some ice here from Iowa into northern Illinois, Wisconsin, and Michigan. That remains to be seen. And then as we go into Thursday, Friday, that kind of moves off to the east. We get another weak system to develop. What's the American GFS show? Well, it shows kind of the same thing. We have a glancing blow of some lighter snowfall, maybe a couple inches, enough to shovel to the north. And then as we go into the middle of next week, by Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, notice we get a more mature setup here. The GFS is a little bit further south with the colder air, so it brings the storm track just a tad bit further south than the European model, and it has an overrunning ice setup for the Ohio Valley rather than Iowa, Wisconsin, and Michigan. But you get the general theme here. Late in the first week of February, we could be seeing a winter storm somewhere from the Midwest into the Ohio Valley, Great Lakes, and even the Northeast. Something to keep an eye on. It's too early to get into amounts on that. We're not going to do it here in this video just yet. As we go into the second week of February, we're going to be seeing a very cold air mass returning. A lot of people are throwing in the towel on winter. I'm keeping winter in my thoughts because it's definitely going to be very cold as we go into the second week of February, especially where you see these greens, especially into Montana, the Dakotas, and the Panhandle of Nebraska. You can see the below normal temperatures going all the way to North Texas as we go into that second week. This is Saturday, February 8th through Saturday, February 15th. And that will set up an active weather pattern here in the jet stream. We have a very amplified jet here. We have warmer air preceding the system and then cold air to tap into. And this will be Arctic cold and our storm track right in between here in the white as we have low pressures that'll develop here in Texas Panhandle and lift up toward Illinois and Indiana. And that's where we could have a heavy snowstorm potentially set up into that second week of February. Now, take this with a grain of salt. This will change about 3 million times before we get here, but the idea is that we could have a strong low pressure develop here in the Texas Panhandle, moving up toward the Ohio Valley, Great Lakes, and Midwest. On the northwest side of that low, we got the cold air to tap into, we got heavy snow, and then the ice threat underneath of that, and then heavy rain to the south and east of that with the potential for severe weather. So yes, winter is not over. Don't throw in the towel just yet, and we'll keep you updated right here on this channel. So make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll walk you through all the detailed, accurate weather breakdowns each and every day. We'll have another video late tomorrow morning, early tomorrow afternoon, and likely again tomorrow evening. So make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, give it a thumbs up, and share this video with friends, family, and on social media. We're tracking some major storms here, so you do not want to miss out on this as we give you some accurate and detailed information. So thank you all for watching, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their Thursday out there.